Alright everybody, I'm doing another quick video here. Again, it's a requested video. It's how to paint up, your 3D printed wall sections. Whether from me or whether from anybody else. I'm using these two little ruined sections I've got going on. I'm going to paint these in the zenithal style. We're going to go pure grayscale, just black and white, and then I'm going to tint the finished product to give kind of the colour you want. So maybe you're wanting to get different colours on some of the bricks to make them stand out. Maybe we want to catch all the vines here, but not go for a traditional style of painting. It's really quick, it's really effective, and it quite suits 3D printed parts. Now, you probably all know yourself, 3D printed parts, they're a bugger to paint because you're trying to paint out the layer lines, you're trying to hide them. So I'm going to do this half with an airbrush. It's my preferred way of painting 3D prints. And I'm going to do this little dinky one with a paintbrush. I've picked a small one because it does take a bit longer. And I'm just going to show you a really quick, really effective way of getting these done and try to hide as many of those layer lines as possible. So first things first, I'm going to take a straight white. Knock that back with just a little bit of reducer. This will do the job. Okay, as you can see, it's blowing out really fine. It's nice. It's white, so we're gonna have a lot of tip dry going on here. I personally, you can use a flow improver, you can use a retarder, you can even use a glazing medium to kind of hold back from that tip dry, but we're going to be in and out pretty fast, so there's no need. The general idea is we're spraying perpendicular to the grain. We're wanting to highlight the center of each brick and yet leave the shadowed areas just nice and jet black. Let's see that. That picks out that detail really well. Same on the other side. Now this isn't going to work for the top because it'll just get everywhere, so we're going to go for a bit of trickery. We're going to blow across the model from each side. Now I'm going to come back in and really focus on the areas where I've got vines or leaves or any other detail. So as you can see, our vined areas stand out quite substantially more now, which is what we're after. top of the model is, in general, a lot brighter and more vivid than the bottom of the model. So in between my bricks is dark grey, the top of my bricks is almost white, and yet down here my bricks are dark grey and in between them is black. That's perfect, that's ready to move on. Now, to achieve that same sort of effect with a paintbrush, you've got to be very careful here. It's going to be a similar effect. It's not going to be the same, and side by side, like this, they are going to look different. There's no getting away from it. This is a very different style to using a paintbrush. But that doesn't mean it can't be done. So I'm going to put a little bit of white on my palette. Now I've got a slightly damp brush, and whilst I've set it up and loaded it up as I would a dry brush, I've not pulled all that paint back off the brush, so this is a very wet dry brush. And I'm going to tickle, literally tickle the model. And I'm going from the top down to the bottom. You can see this is definitely not dry brushing. Difficult to get to these parts.
What we do here is go back.
Reasonably similar effect. It certainly lets us see the definition between the parts a lot more. Now, obviously airbrushing dries super duper fast, but I'm going to have to hit that with a hairdryer to speed things up a little bit. Cool, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Now I'm going to get myself a very dark grey. This is almost black, but not quite. There's black for comparison. Very close, but yeah, very close, but a little bit lighter. Again, a little bit on my palette, you really don't need much. I'm going to get myself a relatively fine brush, and I'm going to go back in and clean up the detail in between the bricks, in the places where it's not bold enough or bright enough. Okay, so off camera I've gone in and filled in just those few missing lines to pick out the definition between the bricks, but as you can see, it's substantially darker than the airbrushed one. We're going to cure that by taking a nice light grey and then a white, and we're quite literally going to hit the top half of the brick with the mid grey, and then we're going to edge highlight them in white, but not in a hyper detailed sense. You know, we're not going to take the time that you would take on your average miniature. Alright, there we go. Still darker, but well on its way. So I'm now going into the white. I haven't bothered cleaning my brush or anything, I'm just going straight into the white. Now we need a lot less of this on the brush, but we're basically doing the exact same thing. This is layering and highlighting, just like you would on any model. But because we're just working in grayscale, as I said, we can afford to be a lot more blatant with the contrast than you would be on a finished model. You see, I'll do the other side off camera, but they're now relatively similar in intensity. It's got, if anything, more variance of tone. It looks more stony than this one, but this was horrifically fast in comparison to this. Cool. We're ready to crack on. So what I'm going to do is pick out a few of these bricks and give them a sort of toned down coloured look. And whilst you probably wet yourself laughing, I'm going to use these. I just wanted to show you guys how insanely perfect for stone watercolours are. And they'll still seal over, and they'll still, yeah, they'll still finish off just like an acrylic, but they have a certain look that is just made for the job. It really is. Not for everything, but certainly for stone, just for picking out and giving them that muted, washed out, kind of old, well, stony feel. The only thing to remember with watercolours is, even when that's bone dry, water will reactivate it straight away. So that presents a bit of a challenge when varnishing, but trust me, totally worth it. You basically dust it from a distance, you know, like psh, psh, psh. Let it totally dry, then psh, psh, psh. Let it totally dry in, and then you can just varnish like normal. So it's not any more difficult, it's just knowing that you've got to put a seal coat over it before you then varnish it. And there we go, guys. As you can see, we get this lovely matte, muted, kind of almost riverstone feel. Yeah, watercolours rates, don't knock them. They're such a good paint. And so useful. In case that's not your thing, I'm going to find myself a nice similar colour. I'm just going to throw it onto this one in exactly the same way. There we go, guys. As you can see, it's not quite the same. It's not quite as vibrant and realistic looking. There we go. But still, it works. Either way, I'm a fan of the watercolours for stuff like that. It just gives the right tone for the bricks and the stones. Now, you can do the green leaves and whatever in exactly the same way. But the green I've got on this Thomas the Tank Engine set is horrible. So I'm going to glaze them in with acrylics. In exactly the same way I've just done that, I'm going to mix it down thin. Again, if I can find space on my palette. I'm going to mix it down nice and thin. And that's going to preserve all this highlight and shadow. Just, if you're not sure about how transparent your paint is, run it across the back of your thumbnail, see if you can see through the paint. You don't want them to be too clear. You'll get the feel as you're doing it. If they're too thin down, they'll turn into a wash. They'll run into the grooves of the print lines and they'll just really highlight what you don't want them to highlight. But if you have it too thick, it will completely mask all that sketch work you did with the black and white at the beginning. So there is a compromise to be found, a little bit of practice. When you nail it, you'll realise that a little extra time at the beginning, getting your light values correct, save a heck of a lot of time when it comes to the rest of the painting. And there we have it. Picked out, as I said, those vines have that lovely kind of washed feel to them. There's a really cracking outline around the vine. Again, these greens are looking more vibrant on the camera than they are in real life.
What we do
And there's the
here is
one we
go
hand
back,
brushed
back,
in
back, back,
not
back.
really much more time. Now, I like this better. I think it looks more natural. The main reason I just sit about them with the airbrush is because it is so much faster. So there we have it. 2 cracking ways to paint up really fast and get yourself some good looking terrain with that zenithal highlight kind of feel to it. Really poppy bright highlights, dark darks, nice contrast everywhere else. I hope this was some use to you guys. I hope you found it's a little bit useful. Maybe a few tricks in there that you've not come across before. Anything else, I'll do quite a few of these micro videos that really don't take me very long. So anything else you want to see, anything else you've got a question about, just let me know and I'll see what I can do.